All right, KISS Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a KISS-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy.
Hi, and welcome to episode 479 of the KissFAQ podcast. I'm your host, Daniel. Today we're going to discuss the two shows that KISS did in Sweden. And this week we have some members of the family here. And I'm not talking about mom and dad. I'm talking about a horde of Scandinavian Vikings. The first one is Roney. Hello, Roney.
Hello.
You might recognize him. He did an episode on the Popcorn Pub, the Coventry. He's the chief editor of the Swedish KISS Fanzine, the Destroy magazine. And I think you became a fan somewhere around The Elder.
Yeah. It was the video of World Without Heroes.
How is that possible?
Okay. I don't know.
But you made the right decision there and started to listen to KISS. And we also have a new face with us. It's Patrick Ek. I think I'm going to call you Patrick just because I'm in English mode. So Patrick, okay. maybe you can tell us a little bit about how it all started for you and so on. Favorite record, favorite song, and so on.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Yes, hello, everybody. I became a KISS fan back in 1992 when I was 11 years old. And it was my cousin Lars who introduced me to hard rock music and KISS and so on. So, and around that time, it was the Revenge album that had just came out. So I got it for Christmas present. And then from that point, it moved on, became a member of the KISS Army International. So great to meet Nico in Sweden last week and say hi to him because he's been a huge part of my teenage years, waiting for the Strike magazine arriving in the mailbox and so on.
Yeah.
So, so I became a huge fan around 92, 93. And my first KISS concert was in 96. So,
Cool. And we also have Bent with us, and you might recognize him from episode 436 when he was a part of a Scandinavian KISS episode. And Bent ran the KISS fan club in Sweden back in the day and is now running a top 20 KISS podcast in Sweden with Marco Rovinen, I think his surname is. And I just have to say thank you to Marco because he's helped us a little bit with this episode and also the episode we did last year when Bent was a part of it. So, Bent, anything you want to say to the listeners before we get started?
Oh, yes. This is a perfect opportunity for all the Americans to learn Swedish because we discovered last time that it's a lot of books, very many good books, and the Destroyer magazine, that's in Swedish. And then, of course, we need to start with which is hey, and when we are finished we say hey då, and so we can continue during this hour to learn the Americans more Swedish. And last time I said all these fantastic Swedish strong words that no one understood and no one beeped out.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. We'll get to the Swedish at the end of the episode. But today's episodes, we will have three main topics. The first one that we will start off is of course, KISS 2 concerts in Dalhalla, Sweden. All of us were there, so we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk a little bit about the brand new issue of the Swedish KISS Fanzine. Roney is the chief editor of that magazine. And the third part will be a bit about Bent's Let Me Know podcast, which is kind of interesting. And I think you guys out there might want to learn a little bit about that. So let's get started with the first part. KISS in Dalhalla, Sweden, 2 nights in a row. First off, we have to say that the venue is really special. It's an old lime quarry. And maybe Ronny can tell us a little bit about the venue, what it looks like, if you've been there before, what you thought of it, and so on.
It was my first time at the venue, and it's really in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's just woods around, and it's It's a quarry, so it's a day quarry, so it's just what's it called? Grop.
Pit. A pit.
It's a pit, just a pit. Quite deep pit, and it's a stage down there. And this was active, I think, up till 1990 as a quarry. But now it's been seen for 25 years or something. And it was really, really cool. It's also, I think it's the smallest stage Kiss has played on this tour, on the end of the road. At least one of the smallest. It was 6,600 as a maximum.
Yeah, and it was completely sold out.
Yeah, and it was the biggest crowd they had at that place. So
yeah,
that was cool.
It was a record. So yeah, that was really cool. But you guys, how many of you went to both shows? Roney, Bent, you went to one of the shows, or?
He was at both.
Bernd seems to be totally lost. Okay, okay. And I think Patrick, you
Both
went to
them,
the last.
The rainy
went to
one.
both.
Yeah, I only
sunny
went for
one.
the show on the Thursday show. Yeah.
Did anyone go to the meet and greet stuff? Did you do that?
I did a photo with the band.
Photo with the band?
Thursday, yeah. And I went to both sound checks.
Both and Bent. I'm not sure if there's a delay for Bent, but something is wrong, I think. But I think Bent, you were also at the photo shoot with the band and the sound checks. Or...
Well, I
there's something that isn't working with
I
Bent's
cannot
mic.
deny or not deny that that
There's some trouble with your mic. We're not hearing you, Bent. I'm not sure. We see you. We see you all right, but we can't hear you. But let's start off with. You went to the sound check, didn't you, Roney?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about both nights?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
The first night, it was raining for the whole afternoon and whole evening, except for during the sound check. And we got 5 songs. Got Shoes, Hotter Than Hell, Shock Me, what was it more? Plastic Caster, and one more. Going Blind. Got those 5.
Okay.
And the thing was, they were quite a good mood, I think. They did some Q&As also, I think 4 questions. Nothing spectacular, I think, was revealed on those. And they were good. They were in good mood. And one thing Paul said that was quite funny, actually, was he introduced Hotter Than Hell and asked if, can you sing this? And the crowd was like, yeah. And he said, well, I can't. And then
okay.
And then they started it. So I don't know if he tried to be, he was honest about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, yeah.
I'll show you a brief clip from one of the sound checks. Let's have a look at this.
Overall, I can.
One more question.
Okay, hello. My name is Roney. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Destroyer magazine. You like it?
Yeah. Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I got a question that goes back to the very beginning. It's back to the popcorn pub and the Coventry. You remember Paul South, and can you tell us something about him, that he who gave you the chance to start your live career?
He was managing the club that was called Popcorn, and then it got turned the week after we came into Coventry. And he really was, he was just a talent booker at the club. A lot of people were trying to get rock and roll music into that area, Queens, because everyone was playing in New York and Manhattan. So he started bringing the bands out to Queens, and really outside of booking Coventry, he didn't really do much. He was happy to have anybody play there.
Yeah, I know. I met him 2 months ago and he said hi.
Oh, good. Say hi.
He's 93 now.
Oh my gosh. He's 93 and you're 16.
Yeah, Paul was real funny there. So that was actually you asking Paul a question, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the second night, and I got to ask that one. And I don't think the answer was that good because he didn't remember Paul Sub. He was the owner. He was not the talent booker. That was another guy called George. But well, they talked about it and it was fun. And the thing was, you can hear it if someone says that's a good one because I got hit by one of Gene's plectrums during the Q&A. When I was talking about, when I asked the question, I got hit on the chest. But I couldn't just dive down and take it, so someone else took it.
Oh, no.
And I was like 25 meters away, so it was really good. He's good at that.
He's good at that,
really
yeah.
good at that.
Yeah. There were a lot of pics going around. First night when I was up front, the camera guys had like loads of pics that they gave away to the audience, and so I guess most guys that were up front got a shitload of pics to bring back home. Yeah.
The first night, Eric gave out 2 bags of plectrums to some guys and said share with others, and they were sharing with people all around. So they were very generous at the Soundcheck.
Yeah, that's good because the first night I was up front and I caught a few pics from Kiss, and I got a few from the camera guy, and then after the show, a girl was looking for pics. She hadn't got one. And the guy next to me, he had like 15 pics, and he refused to give her any. So I have to give her a pic, and she was really happy. It was a cute girl as well, so it was kind of easy to give her. Okay, so let's move on to the actual shows. They did 2 shows.
Can I tell you one more thing about the Soundcheck? It was
of course.
The second night they played only 4 songs, but 2 of those were different. It was Kissin 16 and Nothing to Lose. And Nothing to Lose was the last one, and that was actually a guy who stood just beside me who screamed Nothing to Lose once or twice, and then I filled in and we started screaming, both of us. And Paul said, "Oh, Eric, do you want to sing this?" And Eric said, "No." But Gene stepped up to the mic and said, "Well, I wrote it. I can sing it." And they did it. So it was.
He did it. He remembered the words and everything.
Yeah.
Great. That's
that
great.
Was a surprise. That was a good song. So we got 7 different songs on the Soundcheck.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So Patrick, you were there the second night. Were you up front, or were you sitting, or where were you?
No, I went there with my 2 kids who got this for a Christmas present.
Good Christmas.
They actually they got their first Kiss concert tickets also as a Christmas present back in 2019, and that was postponed due to COVID. So we saw them in Stockholm last year in 2022, but that time we had seats that were quite far from the stage, so they really didn't see Kiss that much besides looking at the big screens because Kiss were like this small from that far away. So when I heard the news that they are coming back to Sweden, although I had said goodbye in Gothenburg and brought tissues and crying and everything, so I thought to myself that I need to show my kids, they are 15 and 12, how Kiss is for real, as being up front in front row, feeling the fires and smelling the explosion and fireworks and catching guitar picks and stuff like that. I mean, that is so much joy to be at the Kiss concert. So I want to take that also so my children can enjoy this and celebrate this together with me. So we went on the show on Thursday, but we drew up with my car on Wednesday and stayed in Mora, which is like 40 minutes from there, or 30 minutes or something like that. So we did some sightseeing in Mora on Wednesday and went to the show on Thursday. we were there very early, so we came in and had one line of people in front of us, and then was the front row stage. So we were very close. So that was really great.
I remember meeting you, and you showed me a picture on your phone, a photo on your phone. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you mean what we did earlier that day?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You know, Shannon, Jean's wife, she published a video on Instagram showing where they lived. So I went to Google Maps and checked every hotel in around the arena nearby. So I figured out which hotel they were staying at. So we went there. Basically, we wanted, of course, to be able to meet some members of KISS. That would be great. But we also, you know, because we were going so early to the show to get to be front row, I also thought that I was thinking that we really needed to eat some lunch. So you never know when you can eat next time, because you don't want to leave your spot and go to the bathroom and stuff like that. So you have to plan everything really carefully to make the best of a night like this. So I called the hotel in the morning and asked them if was it okay to come by and eat lunch at the hotel, and they said, yeah, sure, no problem. So we went there and ate lunch, and after a while, Paul Stanley came down and had a Coke, talking to, I think, was the boss at Live Nation or something like that. I heard some rumors. Some people told me that. So he was sitting there and just talking to this guy. And then when he left, he actually, when he sat there and talked, he said hi to everybody that was standing there and watching all this. And and my daughter had Paul Stanley star makeup, so he actually pointed at her and said, "I like your makeup." So that was I was really proud dad.
Had she done it herself, or were you the one?
Yeah, she did it. She did it herself. After lunch, she went to the bathroom. She had brought some makeup with her, so she was going to do this because she wanted to have the makeup for the show later. But we didn't know that Paul was coming down, so that was really cool. And then when he left, I asked him if I could take a picture with my kids, and he said sure. And my kids got a picture with him, and he was quite in a hurry, so he only took like 2 pictures with some other small kid that was there with his dad, and one picture with my kids, and then he left. So we were very lucky, and I thought that it was more fun for my kids to have a photo with Paul Stanley, because I have one photo with him already, and I think it's better to pass it on than to have like one more photo with him. It's better to pass it on, I think.
Yeah, you're all for pass on the torch to the next generation, it seems. I also brought my 3 kids for the second night. The first night I went all in as a KISS fan. I went alone up front. Second night I sat with my kids, I think at row 25 or something, pretty close. And it's a good arena to bring your kids to, because it's kind of small and you see very well. It doesn't really matter where you're seated. It's a good view.
Yeah.
And they really, what did your kids think about the show?
They loved it. Yeah. Like 2 minutes after the show was over, my daughter asked me if can we go to Norway? And I said, no, we can't go to Norway. So that was kind of a good review of the whole event. So yeah, I mean, I've been playing KISS music since they were small. So I have like videos when they are like 4 years old, singing along to Rock and Roll All Night and stuff like that. So I mean, they are not as huge KISS fans as I am. But I mean, they know the songs and they really enjoyed the show. And I mean, look, I mean, everybody, I mean, every person in the whole world going to a KISS concert are going to enjoy the show, I think. So
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to have a dull time when you're attending a KISS show.
Yeah,
I know my kids love the show as well.
yeah, great. Yeah.
I think they will remember it, for eternity.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that we pass the torch on, because you never know in 10 or 20 years what will happen with KISS avatars taking the stage. The technology is moving fast. We'll just have to see if Bernd can say anything about his experience at the KISS show. Let's see if we can hear him. Bernd, can you tell us about your shows?
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes.
see me? How many fingers is this?
5, I think.
Good. Okay, we'll try this out. Okay, let's see. What did I do? The thing is that I can say that these concerts were both the same and not the same. And you already heard about the line choral and everything, so I won't go into that. But the thing is that I didn't bring my kids this time. My son was with me last time in Stockholm, and he is one of those that has been listening to KISS before he was born, which I think was a good investment, because he still likes KISS, not as much as his father does, but still. But a lot of my time went to talk with listeners of the Let Me Know podcast, which is mostly in Swedish. But then, of course, there might be an episode soon in English, but that's another story. I think that both the concerts were good, but still, Gothenburg 2022. Oh my God, that was the top. That was the best Swedish concert I've seen so far.
But Bernd, if you would put it up against outdoor concerts, because indoors always it's always better. But if you've seen KISS outdoors, I think these were some of the best concerts I've seen KISS do outside.
Yeah, because I saw the Gröna Lund outdoor concert in Stockholm 1976. And that, of course, was good. But then, back then, KISS was amazing. I mean, that was something totally, totally new. But I would say that both these outdoor concerts were good. And I was amazed that the sound was so good as it was. Because usually when you're outdoors, the sound goes from left to right and from right to left. But at the first concert, I was not at the stage, but close to the stage anyhow. And on the second, I was together with a family, which I bought a ticket from, and that was as close as you can get. It was the first sitting row. But I should still say that the second of the both concerts were a tad better.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with the weather.
Yeah.
It was a bit warmer, and Paul Stanley didn't say between every song, well, it's raining. And yes, it did. It was raining like cats and dogs. And all of us had our lovely ponchos on. But we didn't care about that, because we saw KISS for the probably last time at this way. So, I'm very, very satisfied. But I'm more satisfied with all the Swedish KISS fans that I were able to talk to. There were so many greeting me and Marcus pod and the vlog that I do from time to time. And that is, since Swedes has so much KISS, so much things to listen to and read and stuff like that.
We'll go into the Let Me Know podcast a bit later, but I actually listened to Patrick's episode just a few days back, and he talked a lot about the KISS family, which you're talking about now, Bernd. Patrick, how was the KISS family treating you at Dalhalla? Any thoughts on that from you?
Yeah, it's always awesome to meet the KISS Army family. I often say this, that they are my second family, and it's absolutely true. It's so fun to meet them, and everybody hugs, and it doesn't matter if it's been a year or more years since we met, and maybe we are talking on social media and stuff like that. But I mean, meeting them and just seeing the joy in their eye, and talking about the expectations before the show, and then talking to the fans after the show, how it was, and sharing this. I mean, it's like. I think it's the closest you can get to being in a religious sect, I think. So, or maybe that is what we are.
Yeah, we don't even know it. That's true.
Yeah.
But Roney, we've talked about the audience a lot. Did anything surprise you about the audience? Were there youngsters, old people? Any thoughts on the attendances?
It was a great mixture, I think. But there was one thing about the arrangement that they fucked up the second day, because you got a wristband for going down to the standing area. It was quite small standing area. It was just one section, and they had the same color on those bands both nights. And also you could even go and get one inside after you had entered. And say, I forgot to get one up there. So you could go with your friend's ticket and get one. So it's a huge difference in how packed the standing area was the both nights. But I talked to one of the security, and she said, "I know we have fucked up." I am swearing on. Is it allowed to swear here?
Yeah,
it's an American.
It's allowed.
The Scandinavians are taking over.
So they knew about it, and she was really upset about it. How it had they had missed that because they usually have different colors. But I had the luck to stand. I didn't have my daughter with me. She wouldn't have enjoyed it also. She's not a music fan. But I stood next to a girl who I think it was about 12 or something, and she was on her first KISS show, and her older sister was like 17, 18, stood just behind her. And to see the happiness in that young girl's face, and every song they played, it was like she was turning around to her sister, was like, "They're doing that one." With such happiness in her face, and she was so glad. And another friend of mine, Ruud from Holland, who was there, he catched a plectrum, and he gave it to her. It was a plectrum Tommy threw out at the solo, and she got it, and she was so excited to get a plectrum from Tommy. It was great. It was great to see old people like 60, almost as old as the band themselves, and young kids. I think you could see 3-4-year-olds at the Soundcheck. It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, I think it was a great mixture, as you said, and I was a bit taken aback about how many kids that were there. I mean, not just the children of KISS fans, but teenagers like around 14, 15, going up front and rocking their asses off. So I think it was there's a future for KISS, even though we're pretty old. There's a second generation coming along. But Bernd, what about the set list? What about the songs that played? Do you think anything stuck out? Did you have a favorite? Were you missing out on something, or was it okay?
You mean Sonic Boom?
I actually think Sonic Boom went over pretty well. I was surprised.
Yeah, but I'm like this. I think that last year we saw KISS. This year we saw KISS. And I should really enjoy it if they had some kind different setup. Oh, that's the lady in the can. She was talking at the same time. But anyhow, the thing is that usually when I talk English with somebody, the lady in the can says, "I don't understand what you're trying to say," and that's my life. the lady in the can doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. But anyhow, back to your question. What I would like to have this concept, this bonus tour. I mean, KISS has such a big songbook to look at, and they would have been able to do as great show this time as the last one by changing all the songs. But that's what I think, because I think it's a bit silly to, like we did, we paid for 2 concerts in a row because we wanted to see KISS as much as possible. And last year, it was roughly the same songs. So I don't know if they're like when you were kids and you only wanted to hear the same bedtime story day after day after day. Are we like this, KISS fans, or do we like to have another set list? I would like to have another set list anyhow, but that's me.
Okay, I think most people would prefer 2 different nights, like Metallica does. They do 2 different sets, 2 nights in a row, but that's Metallica. KISS has always done this, played the same songs. I remember back in 97 when I saw them in Stockholm, they played 2 nights in a row and they changed 1 song, and that was back in 97. So I guess we don't expect them to change that much from night to night. But of course, if you could choose, you would like to hear different songs. But I totally enjoyed both nights anyway. And I think they picked, I was just surprised they picked Making Love as the new song. I don't know why they did that. What do you think, Roney? Why did they put Making Love in the set this year?
I don't care, because I'm happy they did, because that's one of my favorite songs, and I've never heard it. It's one of the best from Rock 'n' Roll Over, I think, and I hadn't heard it before, so I was very happy. And I think, I mean, they are boxed in because they have to have voice tapes of Paul from when he sang "Okay," and they don't have that from that many songs. So but they could switch around. They could have done like Strutter One Night and maybe another Gene song. I think the most stranger thing is that Tommy doesn't get a solo lead song at all. Why not? He's been in the band longer than any of the other guitar players. So 1 song. He got 1 on the Soundcheck, but why not on the whole concert? I mean, they're talking about they have to let Gene rest his body and Paul to rest his voice. Well, that's the opportunity. Let him sing 1 or 2 songs.
I agree. We have a question for Patrick. There was an opening act in Sweden, and there was at least 1 fan going nuts. And we have a question here from Wolf. Let's see if I can find it. Rodrigo Alves. He asked, any opening support act in Sweden? Yes, there was. And Patrick can tell you all about it.
Yeah, they are a Swedish band called the Night Flight Orchestra. And they are great. So check them out.
Yeah, they got a great song called Satellite. It made me think of David Lee Roth, that song he did about paradise. This much feel paradise.
Yeah, it's music that makes you happy, and they also have this like flying team on everything they do, like the choir girls that are singing in the band. They are dressed up like flight attendants, so it's I really like the whole package. I mean, it's like KISS, you like the whole package of the brand. So I really enjoy them. So if you saw a person wearing a gold jacket, which is the Night Flight Orchestra tour jacket, it was me.
They did get a lot of minutes. They did get. I think they played like 25 minutes, maybe both nights.
Yeah, 22 first night and 25 was others. I think it was kind of short for them. I mean, opening act at least half an hour, I think.
Yeah, and I mean they
Patrick,
released a lot of albums, so
yeah.
I mean this must be something that KISS management or somebody had decided, because they have a lot of cool songs that they didn't that they were not able to play. So it was a little sad, but I mean it was an opportunity, and I know that the band are really happy, and I mean growing up listening to KISS and then being in an opening act, just like Nestor did in Stockholm last year, and also Johan Kihlberg's Imperia in Gothenburg. I mean, that must be a dream come true, opening for your heroes. I mean, that would be great. Yeah.
There was a clip of you, Patrick. I saw a video of Night Flight Orchestra with you. You were the only one who was jumping and fist in the air.
Yes.
And someone commented, well, it's at least one guy is enjoying the opening act.
Absolutely.
It was
actually it was me filming that, because
it was, yeah.
I spoke to Patrick before the opening act, and then when they started, I it was easy to see him in that golden jacket with flying orchestra on the back, and he was the only one rocking out real hard. So I made a film with it. I think it can be cool for Patrick to have that one.
I really enjoyed it. So thank you so much. It was really fun, and I showed it to my kids, and they were laughing their asses off. So and they somehow somewhere I think they are thinking, because of course I'm the dad, so they're thinking that I'm being a little cheesy, and they are a little embarrassed of me, of course, when I'm talking to everybody everywhere and stuff like that, because that's who I am. But I think also they are like a little secret proud of me, I think. So at least I hope so. And I'm very proud of them. So so it was really fun. So thanks for the video, Daniel.
Yeah, you're welcome. Dan, any thoughts on the opening act?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was thinking, now you added David Lee Roth, but I should have said like this: a mix of early 80s Journey and 80s David Lee Roth. And I think it sounded really, really good. So I just hope that I will be able to see the Night Flight Orchestra again somewhere, sometime, because they would like to have more attention. I would like them to have more attention and be able to play. But it's the same with last year's support acts, both Johan Kihlberg's Imperia and, of course, Nestor. I hope that they will get a lot of attention in the future. But
I do like Nestor. Nestor is a really good band. I watched them in Umeå, a city up north here in Sweden. I think in the beginning of the year, and they were just great. A small stage, and the guy can really bring it, the singer. And you hear parts from KISS music in their set. I know they have a song called 1989, and you can hear I've Had Enough, Into the Fire, the riff, the main riff from that song in the 1989 song. So if you like KISS, and it kind of reminds me more of 80s KISS than 70s KISS. So if you kind of into 80s KISS, you should check out Nestor, that Nestor.
Patrick. It's also a KISS connection with Nestor, because Andreas Karlsson, who wrote songs for the Paul Stanley Live to Win album, he wrote songs together with Nestor. Okay. So that's maybe KISS fans would appreciate to check out.
But by the way, there was another Swede that was a support act this year, and that is Erik Grönvall, which is the singer of a very, very famous band from the 80s. Who can it be? Who can it be?
Skid Row.
Yeah, but that was in Germany. So
unfortunately, I would have liked to see them. I always liked the original Skid Row with Sebastian Bach back in the day. They made at least 2 great records. The third one was okay as well, but then they imploded because Sebastian was being Sebastian. It's kind of an oddball.
Wasn't he the guy that forgot his passport on a Christmas?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Actually, he was going to play the KISS Christmas, but he didn't have a passport, so they couldn't let him on. And Well,
so he couldn't be there, and Ace Frehley forgot his passport or didn't have a passport last year when he was supposed to be in Europe to play.
Some people just say he was lazy, he didn't want to go, but I don't know.
I think it was the password. No, not the password, the passport. Sorry.
Yeah. I have an insight on that otherwise, if you want to hear it. There was a lot of bands cancelling last year. Primus was one other band who was cancelled. And it was the lack of bus drivers.
What?
Yeah. Because during the corona, a lot of those had moved on and done other stuff. And they didn't have the big cruise companies to drive the buses. They don't have the good drivers anymore. And they cannot drive because you're supposed to drive all night and not wake everybody up by braking all the time and swerving the bus. So a lot of bands, they couldn't arrange transportations between the different cities unless they flew, and they didn't have the money to fly. That's something I heard.
That's breaking news on the KissFAQ podcast.
Maybe.
Yeah. What about the performance then? When you look at the different members, you know, Tommy, Eric, Paul, and Gene, who was the MVP? What do you think of the performances that did? I actually loved Paul both nights. He seemed to be so happy. It was all smiles and made jokes and were happy and interacted with the audience. I think he was great, and he strutted around a bit as well. And he did, you know, between songs, he did stuff he usually don't do. So I think he was great both nights. What about you guys then? Bent, let's start with you.
Oh, Gene Simmons guy. Yeah, I do agree with you, but I still think that every once in a while there was a lot of energy in Mr. Simmons. Not all the time, but sometime. And during that time when he had the energy, he was the demon of your life. Yes.
So you're going Gene Simmons. You think he was the main guy both nights?
Since you're into Paul, I must be, because I was standing on the Gene side as well. So, but and then of course Marco Rovinen, my partner in Let Me Know,
partner in crime.
Yeah, he said that Paul was the best. So what can I say?
Patrick, what about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Daniel. It was a long time ago I saw Paul being so happy and relaxed on stage, and also doing more dancing that he used to do when he was younger. He did more of that than I can remember he doing when I saw them last year. So he looked really, really happy and looked like he was enjoying himself. Gene, I did only see up close once, because he only came over to my side once during the show, as far as I remember. And that is also a little sad. I think, of course, I know that they are really old now, so they cannot run around like they did 20 years ago. But
I think they did all right anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
My kids couldn't believe they were over 70 years old. They couldn't.
No, of course, I'm not complaining. I think everybody in the band did a great job. I only think that, I mean, coming over to the changing side of the stage at least 2 times during the show would be great, because I really enjoy watching all members, but I was standing between Paul and Tommy, so I only saw Gene once, and yeah, but Paul was great, Gene was good, and Tommy is solid. I mean, he's not doing much rather than playing guitar really good. So and Eric, Eric cannot complain on him. He's also solid, I think.
Yeah, Roney.
I agree also. Paul was the star both nights. Gene was the one who did the only big fuck up in Dalhalla. End of Calling Dr. Love, when he went off stage before the song was ended, when he was supposed to do his...
I am your doctor.
He was already off stage by that time. So Paul had to end it. That was the only big mistake on those 2 nights, and Gene did it. But I think Paul was the star, and as you said, he was moving more to both sides of the stage than Gene. Gene was quite stuck to his side of the stage.
No frog leaps.
Eric and Tommy is more and more. I think during this tour they are more the team players in the background than on earlier tours. I think this tour is about Gene and Paul and the legacy. I think it's more obvious on this tour, and that's, I think, at the same time it's a little sad because they could take some of the burden off from the other guys if they did one more song or so.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your favorite moments in the show. Is there something in the show that you enjoyed more than other stuff? Did something happen, something out of the ordinary? Did you interact with someone in the crowd? Some personal favorite memories from the 2 nights. And I'll go to Patrick. Maybe you can start and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have several awesome moments during the show because going with my kids, I was looking at them a lot and seeing their joy in their eyes, and so that was one part. But also at one point of the show, Paul Stanley was right up in front of us, and he was pointing at his star and then pointing at my daughter, which had the star makeup. And doing like back and forth with her with his finger and smiling and really interacting with her for maybe 4 or 5 seconds. So that was really cool to see. And also at the end of before the encores, Eric Singer came out and he threw a drumstick that my son catched. And that I have on video, so that's a really great memory. And he was so proud and so happy. And when we went home in the car, he fell asleep. And when I was checking back in the back seat, he was squeezing the drumstick and sleeping with it. So it was really cute.
That's kind of cool. Your memories seem really personal and tied into your family, of course. That's great.
Yeah.
I remember catching a drumstick earlier this year, but I only caught one from Crazy Licks, the opening act to Wasp. But that's my claim to fame. That's the only drumstick I've ever caught. I know the drummers. I think he aimed at me. So
and it was also fun. I remember one more thing during Rock and Roll Night when the audience are supposed to sing. All of a sudden, me and my kids were up on the big screen behind the drum kit, and that was really cool to see. That is always fun, you know. And a lot of people were telling me that after the show that I saw you on the big screen. Yeah, so that is, I mean, being such a huge Kiss fan, everything that's happening on the Kiss show and before a Kiss show and during the Kiss show and after the Kiss show is really great memories, and meeting all the Kiss Army family after the show and hugging everybody and making love was really cool to hear, I must say, also, just like Ronnie said, because I can't remember I heard that song live before. That was really cool, and I really liked the song. And I also think that Paul sounded a lot better than he's done. Of course, he's having some backing tracks, of course, but it felt like he was singing more live, and it also sounded like his live singing vocal were pretty good. So it seemed like he had a good night, and maybe it's because it's a smaller venue or something like that, because I think he sounds okay on the sound checks rather than hearing him singing on a big stadium or something like that. So maybe I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I think Paul sounded really good.
Yeah, I think he sounded really cool between songs, and he was, loose, and he wasn't afraid of trying to go for that high note between songs, introducing songs, and it didn't really, crack ever. I think those cracks that we heard a few years back, you didn't hear them. And the first night when I was up front, I really looked closely at Paul to see if he ever messed up, if he was, using backing tracks. But it's impossible to tell. As good as he was a singer a few years back, he is a mimer now. I mean, he's the greatest mimer on earth. You can't tell, even if you look closely. Ben, let's hear some comments from you. We were talking about favorite moments in the show. Are you there, Bernd, or are you lost in space?
Looks like he's stuck.
Okay.
He's gone into the void.
Into the void. Okay, let's start with you, Roney.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any. I was really happy that they did Making Love, but otherwise, I don't have any special moments. I thought there was.
But maybe you met someone. Maybe something happened. Something out of the ordinary that's hard to tell for people that weren't there.
There were a lot of people I met during those days, and some of them, like Nico from the Strike magazine from KISS Army International. I met him back in 1984 last time.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, and then we were in America and saw Ace 2 times, and so it was good to reconnect with someone that you haven't met for 30 years. But as the show was, it was really, good.
Just let me interrupt you briefly. I mean, I heard Italian wherever I went through the venue. Someone speaking very loud, very aggressive, and it sounded kind of happy. And I looked around. It was always Nico and some friends. That's Italian, with break. Capione. You heard him. I also saw him both nights, and I just told him, "Thank you for the Strike magazine, man. It made my youth. You were a big part of my youth, just that like Patrick has said."
Yeah, that was the best source of information before internet.
It was actually only information as far as I knew back in those days. So I really hope that he understands how much joy and how important he has been for the KISS Army.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Okay, Bernd seems to be. There's something wrong with your connection, Bernd. We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Oh no!
No, something. No, we can see you're moving around. Okay, Bernd, tell us a little bit about special moments from the 2 nights for you.
Yeah, unless I freeze this all over again. I do remember that from the first night, it was 3 things that I actually remember very good. First of all, the raining, and we didn't get it that it rained so much, because sometimes up on the LED screen you can see that they were filming Paul from a distance, which means that what you can see was a lot of rain and Paul Stanley in the background. So goddamn much rain. That was one of the things. Second was that I let several shorter people before me, so that they can see
Sami
better.
People,
and then of course I had the big problem with the guy that was 210, which he's a 7-foot man, and he was standing like this, and I could only see him, and he was rubbing his bottoms to my stomach half the concert.
You're creating pictures in my head now, Bernd.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, I could say nice bum. No, it's not correct. If I tell him that, please don't rub your bum against me. But he had his girlfriend that was quite short before him, so I didn't actually know what to do. So I just, rub your bottom against my stomach. I don't care. So that was one thing that, it's interesting. And then on the second night, when it comes to the concert, one of the things, and this is very personal, I actually caught something that has something to do with KISS, and that was one of the balloons. Yes,
cool.
And then of course the persons that were sitting next to me, the family, they also got 3 balloons. So everybody was happy. So that is something that I do remember very, very well. But mostly all the people that I met, and we will talk about that later. But so please don't rub your bum against my stomach. That's what I want to say.
I think some things that stood out for me was, for example, when Paul Stanley received one of those small dolls. I think it was the first night. Do you remember that? Someone had made pretty cool dolls. It was kind of reminiscent of the stuff they got in Tokyo in '77, small Kiss dolls. And I think they gave them to Paul and Gene and so on. And Paul put it in his vest. And had it there through the anchors, and he used it and waved to people with the little arms on that doll, and he was really into it. And that was just a testament of Paul being into the concert, being there, thinking it was fun, and really enjoying himself. So I think that was a kind of a cool moment. Later on, I saw an article in a magazine where they were actually interviewing the children who had made that doll and given it
and the
to
mother,
him. And the mother, yeah. So it was kind of cool.
Great.
And another thing I think was cool was the second night. The second night, the audience was much more into it, of course, because of the weather. And when they did Love Gun, Paul just stopped everything and he said, "Everyone has to stand up for something." Do you remember that?
That was great.
Stand up for rock and roll, and everyone rose. The whole arena rose like that. Must be a great feeling to be the ringleader up front doing that. But it was kind of cool, and I haven't heard him say that a lot. So
no, I remember that was really awesome to hear. It brought back memories listening to the first Alive album when he says that you have to stand up for what you believe in. So yeah, that was really great. Yeah.
And some downers, I remember Paul trying to flick, his picks at me, and they went like curveballs like this. I missed everyone. Someone else got them, so that was a downer. Bernd, what
I remember another very important thing, and that is the way that Kiss are treating kids.
Yeah.
And first, I've heard things from the sound checks and those VIP passes and everything, and they very much like that the kids get first. How should I put it? That they really care about the kids. You, Patrick, told me or told now about what happened at the hotel when you had lunch, and when we go to the sound checks. The same thing there. They wanted to make sure that the kids got guitar picks and not the grown-ups, if possible. And there were several other things that I do remember, but I cannot put my finger on it. But the way that Kiss treats kids is, it goes into the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when you watch the show, I remember one thing, during I Was Made for Loving You, one of their biggest songs, they actually used pre-recorded explosions. I didn't notice it the first night, but the second night, there was no bombs going off, and you heard the explosions. So they used some help there, some medic, but they've always done that, through the 80s they did that. But I've never seen it live. It didn't matter that much, but they used some smoke and mirrors like they usually do. Okay,
well, you can save $1 or $2 on that.
I just want to show you. I don't know when you went to the concert. It's so cool, feeling that you're a part of the Kiss family, as Patrick said. And I actually shot some photos of some of the fans that sported cool tattoos. I just want to show you that briefly, some of the tattoos that the guys had at the show. And I've never seen these people. I didn't even know there were so many Kiss tattoos around. Let's see if I can share this screen like this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of cool of a tattoo. He had it both his arm, filled with Kiss tattoos. And here's another one. The Gene Simmons shot from 96. Yeah. Where he has the barbed wire around his head. Really good tattoo. That's the guy wearing it. Never seen him. but he flashed it, and I had to get a picture of it. And there were loads of cool jackets as well. Here's one. And I like this T-shirt. I hadn't seen it before. Big John Hart Security Company, protecting rock stars since 1973. I have to get one of those. And there we have. Is this real? Is this fake, Bent?
I cannot.
Okay.
I cannot comment this at all.
It's a good photo, anyhow.
Yeah, of course it is. But I cannot comment that picture. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're sorry. Okay.
I saw there was a question about the merch stands.
Merch stands,
yeah. There were one, and it was a queue. It was like 200 meters long. It was crazy. I don't know why they didn't have more, like at least one more, because I think a lot of people was reluctant to stand in that queue because it was enormous.
And the
it was
price.
So long.
And the prices.
The prices, of course. They were
enormous.
It was crazy. Yeah, they were. You could order for almost half the price at the KISS online. The same stuff. Oh. Yeah, you bought that one.
Bent is showing something. Bent, tell us about that.
This is the tour.
Oh no!
This is the tour book.
This year, but it looks like last year's tour book.
I think that's the version 9 or something. Someone said it's been.
Yeah, but of course, I can say like this: that the only thing that I think is the difference is that you have other places where they played, because this is this year, and you have
maybe some crew members has also been switched out.
Yeah, but still. I think it's the same pictures as before. But when you buy it, you don't think about that. You think, a tour book. And that is basically the only thing that I buy at concerts. That is the tour books. Because I always bought them, and I think that they are gorgeous. And KISS does gorgeous tour books and have always done that. But too long line.
Yeah.
After the concerts, KISS was in the press a whole lot. Did you read any reviews? What did the press say about the KISS performances? Roney, did you read any reviews after the shows?
Yeah, I saw a few reviews, and they were very positive. There was one in, I think, Aftonbladet was very positive. And
Aftonbladet is one of the biggest newspapers here in Sweden.
Yeah,
so just so you know.
It's an evening paper. Basically, it was an evening paper now. But it was quite positive, and they were really going through the show and explaining effects and stuff like that. And they were saying it was a really good farewell to Sweden. It was really good.
Yeah.
It's not the same as in 1976 at Gröna Lund.
Tell us a little bit about the reviews from Gröna Lund.
Oh my goodness. It was KISS were Nazis, they were violent, they were bloody. I mean, every negative thing you could think about.
Militant,
Yeah. But I do remember one of the reviews said that when Peter Criss was banging on his drums, it could have been pots. Yeah. It's no different.
My favorite is another one from there. It was at an amusement park, and one of the rides is called the Ghost Train. It was like a small train that went through a scary house of some sort.
Yeah.
And one of the headlines was "KISS is worse than the Ghost Train."
That's a good one. I do remember that one too.
Yeah.
So they were hated back then.
Patrick, did you read any reviews?
Yeah, I read the one that Ronny talked about in Aftonbladet. I think they got a 4 out of 5, which is, I was really surprised because they normally never give bands like KISS that high score. So I was maybe going for a 3 or something like that. But so I was really surprised they got a 4. I also read something in like a local paper in Dalhalla, Mora, like Mora-tidningen, like a Mora newspaper or something like that, which I also think gave them 4 or 5 or something like that. I think the headline was "Kiss was pure magic" or something like that. They were reviewing the first show, so yeah, they really got good press this time. So that's good.
As they say in Sweden, flaggan i topp.
Is that the new word, the sentence you can learn the American listeners?
Yeah,
Bernd?
I think that flaggan is, of course, the flag. I topp is, of course, to the top. The flag to the top.
Like
Swedish...
Super Mario when he's jumping to the flag.
Yeah. Med flaggan i topp. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, to summarize the shows, it seems like you guys were happy with the shows. You enjoyed them. You think they were great, and even the press enjoyed KISS. So it was kind of like a success. And of course, both shows were sellouts. So what a way to end it. And I think, as I said previously, the venue was perfect for bringing your kids like Patrick did and like I did. A great view of the stage. Here in Sweden, it's pretty light at night this time. So I think the second part of the set is cooler because it's so light during the first half of the show. But during the encores and so on, it's such a great experience. And I think every kid that was there, they will remember the show. And even though there are a lot of naysayers saying, Tommy that, Eric that, cover band, I mean, go to the show and see if you can, have a boring time. It's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. So to summarize things, I think it was a success. The people there enjoyed it, and it was a good way to end things in Sweden. So anything else you want to add about the concerts?
Not really.
There was no confetti. Maybe we should mention that.
Oh.
There was no zip line and no confetti. But I didn't really miss that. Maybe confetti I missed a little, but the zip line I did not miss because I get so confused when he's. The only thing that's cool with the zip line is when he's going over you if you're standing below the zip line. That's really cool. I did that in Krakow in Poland 2019. He was riding right over me. That was really awesome. But after he's done that, I get so confused. I'm going to look at the other band or I'm going to look at Paul. Because I normally stand very close to the stage. So no zip line and no confetti. And the confetti, I think I talked to some security people and they told me that it was because there is water in the quarry. So there was like a cleaning pump system or something like that, that if they were shooting out the confetti, that would break down. And that was not a good thing to do.
That was the same in Norway. Didn't have any confetti either, and that was just close to the river or whatever. But I think when he goes out on the zip line, it's also good for the people who are sitting far away from the scene to get
of course
close up.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
And he throws a lot of pics out there, so that's one thing. But to say the same, no confetti. That was a little bummer. But I understand why. Yeah, still a good show.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, but that was not about Dalhalla. That was about Tønsberg, which was a couple of days later.
Norway.
Yeah, and that was that they missed the opening. You wanted the best, etc., etc. There was nothing like that. It looks like somebody forgot.
No, it was said, but it was the sound was not put up, so the people in the front could hear it like it was a small transistor radio or something. And I heard also from some who said that it was heard on the earphones everybody had. It was like, it's chaos back here, just when they started. So there was some other stuff that didn't go as well in Norway as it did in Sweden. So,
yeah, we'll see what KISS Army Norway does about that. That show. But as you know, Sweden is the leaders when it comes to KISS fandom in Scandinavia. So I'm not sure we'll ever hear anything about that. Well, maybe if you check out that Swedish-Norwegian podcast, what's it called, Bernt?
Oh, I don't remember.
Brekkes. You know Brekkes.
Destroyer Alive.
Yes.
Yeah, Destroyer Alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alive.
I'm just kidding because they were, at least they were the ones that I don't know. I haven't told this on the podcast. I was in a bad
place.
Yeah, for such a long time, because I went in 1985 and I came out 2016, and that's thanks to especially Alexander Johansson of these three guys, because they wanted to find out what was KISS like in the 70s. And I said in the beginning, I don't remember anything. I don't care, but I did. So if you're into Swedish, look at my name and Destroyer Alive, and you will find it. And by the way, I saw something about the Finns. We need to talk about the Finns. Why didn't KISS come to Finland? Because the thing with these 50 concerts was that they were supposed to go where they haven't been before. I'm sorry for you guys in Finland.
Yeah, that's too bad. I hope they got to one of the other shows in Sweden or Norway because it was real fun. I think we'll move on from the concerts and into part 2, and this is going to be about this. There's a new issue of the KISS Destroyer magazine. I think we all got it. I got 3.
I don't have any. No,
Bent is not a member.
Bent is not a member. Let's kick him out of the show. Okay. You can't joke through this. Yeah. It doesn't. It's hard to tell.
The thing, good guys, is that I have tried to become a member, and the El Presidento of KISS Army Sweden has said to me several times, "Your money is not valid here."
Okay.
So
it's like Elvis going to a coffee shop in Memphis or something. You're like that. Yeah, that's true. But Roney, you're the chief editor of the KISS Destroy magazine.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how it's possible to have a printed KISS fanzine in 2023? I think it's quite unique. We can all attest to the importance of these type of magazines, but that was back in the 80s and 90s. You know, Patrick told you about meeting Nico and thanking him for everything he did. Nowadays, there aren't a whole lot around. So can you tell us a little bit about the magazine?
It's about 52 pages with just color. Every page is a color page. And we try to, everything is original also, all original material. You cannot find the article somewhere else. It's just in our magazine. And that is one thing that we do. We interview people. It's experiences from the different writers. It's we have one series of articles that's called When Lightning Struck. It's about some KISS fans' favorite album, or the album that made them fans when the lightning struck. And we've managed to get quite a few famous people to write. We had Bernt write one, and he's a very famous KISS fan in Sweden. But we had Andreas Karlsson, who wrote a lot of the songs on Paul's Live to Win album. We had two of the guys from Jeremy and Philip from Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons solo bands, write about their albums. So we have a lot of original articles that you cannot find anywhere else, and it's a beautiful magazine. Marco, who does the art, he's art director of it. He makes it fantastic. It pops from the pages.
So beautiful.
And it's a work of art. We love to do it. It takes a lot of sweat, but we are pulling it off 3 or 4 times a year. And we also try to find out things that hasn't been told before. Like in the issue before this last one, I did a 10-page article about Popcorn and Coventry, like I told about in the earlier episode here. And nobody has done that unfortunately, it's only available in Swedish. So if anyone in America who wants to publish it in some way, let me know, because I want to.
And then you let me know.
Yeah.
No.
But what about the future? The current issue, you have talked about the 50 years of KISS.
Yeah.
You have an article about every year in history. What's coming up next? Any ideas? Any hints on what's happening?
It's going to be a lot about the end of the tour, end of the road tour, and about this European tour. And then the issue behind that comes out next year is going to be about the last shows in America. And then we're going to have a lot of other stuff, of course, but I'm not telling.
What do you think about the future of the magazine? Still going strong in a few years, a few years from now?
I hope so. We are trying to expand the amount of writers we have. Like you wrote a few articles the last time, and I was, as an editor, I'm totally satisfied because it was easy work. We hope to get Ben to write something about his experiences, and maybe everybody's welcome. If you have something to say, and it doesn't have to be in Swedish, I translate it. We have people from Brazil writing about the gigs in Sao Paulo back in the 80s. We had a guy, American, writing about his 3 gigs he saw in 74, 75, 76. So we're open for it. If you want to write, if you have something, contact me, and I can see if what you want to say is interesting for a magazine. Probably it is.
Yeah, you don't have to be afraid, because I got to understand that they were looking for more writers. So I contacted Roney, and he said, just write about any year you want to. And I picked my favorite years, and I wrote about them, and I mailed him. And I said, can you change this, add something about this? And I did that. So it's easygoing, good. Yeah. It's nice. And to write about stuff you love, I mean, it's not really work. It's kind of cool to spread the word. So, I work as a teacher, and I always correct, writing. So it's so good to write yourself. I love it. So I'm really looking forward to contribute more to the magazine. And I think it's a great magazine. And we have once again mention Marco Rovinen, who does a phenomenal job when it comes to the look. And if you look at it, it beats any KISS fanzine or a lot of other magazines as well when it comes to the looks. It looks great. So hopefully we'll get a few more writers to the magazine. I think it's a great one. Patrick, what did you think about the last issue? Have you read it?
No, to be honest with you, I think it arrived here on Tuesday last week, and I went on this road trip on Wednesday and came home very late on Friday, and then celebrating my son's 12th birthday on Saturday. So hopefully this week I will sit down and have a nice cup of coffee and read it really carefully. But so I only opened the envelope and looked at some of the pictures and smelling the magazine as you have to do. And it really looks good. So I think I have several hours of enjoyment ahead of me.
So Patrick,
so thank you for doing the magazine, everybody that's involved, and also Niklas Olsson, our president, is doing a great job, I think.
So Patrick, wasn't Revenge one of your important albums?
Yeah, it was the first.
So go and read the article about 1992. I think it's awesome. I don't know who wrote it, but it's a good one.
It was you.
So may I add something from the past? Because when we talk about fantastic layout and color pictures and things like that, when I had the first version of KISS Army Sweden, and then of course KISS Fan Service and KISS Fan Center, I mean, it was a wet dream to even think about printing in color, because I spoke with the printers back then and they said it will cost you like this amount of money, and it wasn't possible to charge that amount of money. So it was in black and white back then because of that. And I'm so flattered about what it looks like today, many years later. I'm so impressed. So go and get it. Become a member. The guys that they do allow to be a member, I wasn't allowed.
Yeah, that's true. But talking about Bent, Bent is involved in a Swedish podcast, and I think all of us other guys, we've been a part of that and been interviewed, and I'm sure it was an enjoyable experience for you as well. It was sure fun to do. So let's move on to the Let Me Know podcast. I'm just going to show you a little photo here to introduce the Let Me Know podcast. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Just a moment. And there we go. Boom. Okay, so the Let Me Know podcast this week just beat 3 sides of the coin. Being in place number 21 on the musical podcast list in Sweden, a place before 3 sides of the coin. So is it a change? Is there a new giant coming up and passing the old giant, as you see here? So the not the KissFAQ, the Let Me Know podcast is making some noise out there. So Ben, can you tell us, I would like you to tell us a little bit about the theme you're doing now with, interviewing persons from every gig in Sweden. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I'm so flattered. We are bigger than 3 sides of the coin, which is an English-speaking podcast, and we are talking Swedish. I mean, all you people listening to this, you must learn Swedish. It's I'm so I can hardly speak.
You didn't know.
Okay, because that was a surprise. I did not know that.
No.
Anyhow, I'll try to get my shit together here. The thing is, what we did and what we have done and what we are continuing to do is that we are interviewing at least one person from each Swedish concert with Kiss. We started with me. I don't know why, back in 1976 with Gröna Lund, and then we had continued. It is 1980, 1983, 84, 88, 96, etc., etc., etc. And we have spoken both with totally unknown people and some very famous Swedish Kiss fans. And that is the thing with the Let Me Know podcast, is that it is, in Sweden you say samtal. And do the English have the same kind of, because a samtal, when you have it, it's like a very good conversation with other people. I think that Marco, that I'm doing the podcast with, says it's like having a beer together at a pub. Only difference is you can hear each other. You can't do that on a pub. So we have conversations about a certain subject, and it has been Marco Ruvinen, Mr. Groupie himself. I'm gonna get you, man. I'm gonna get you. And anyhow, it is very professionally done. Then, of course, Marco does the layout and he is producing the show. And he's doing such a great job. So you really need to learn Swedish. Anyhow, and we have done a theme week. We made 5 podcasts about Creatures of the Night when it was released. And we published
the box set,
yeah, and we published 1 podcast each and every day. And we have done other things like that. We published, I think it was 3 podcasts on one day. And I think...
But didn't Patrick give you some critique for that?
I have no memory of that. I don't
Patrick, you have to tell us a little bit about your thoughts there.
I love the podcast, as Bernd and Marco know, of course. But it was also at some point they were releasing so many episodes, so I got a little stressed.
Conversation.
Yeah, I really wanted to listen to everything, because when I see that there is a new podcast available, I want to listen to it. But when they're releasing so many, I don't have the time, so I get a little stressed. So also in one of the podcasts, I think it was Bantor Marco that was a little bit complaining that they were a little fed up with talking about 1976 one more time or something like that. And then I got this like a negative energy from listening to they complaining about they doing so many episodes. So I wrote to Marco, I think it was, and told him that why are you doing so many episodes if you think that that is like becoming like a job or something like that? Just take a little pause and release them later. So that was just like my critique to them with a big heart,
Yeah.
I think they are so enthusiastic, so they can't help themselves. We want to talk Kiss, and we want others to hear it.
Yeah, we want to do it all the time.
I think that's the problem, Bernd.
Yeah. The thing is that from every now and then I say, well, we can of course make 4-hour-long podcasts. I would love that.
Well.
Yeah,
you could make 10 hours.
Yeah, we have done it, and Marcus says, "No way, Jose." And I said, "Bring them on, bring them on," because the thing with a podcast is that you can always press pause and then get back later.
True.
I mean, when we are talking like this, of course you can press pause, but when you get back to the vlog, which this is, you have no idea where you were. But on the podcast, you do know.
Actually, most we have a few viewers on YouTube, but most people listen to this one using other stuff, So it's actually a podcast as well at the same time. So unfortunately, they can't see all the beautiful pictures of the Kiss Destroyer magazine and stuff that we show here. So I recommend people to go on YouTube to see the stuff we show. But I interrupted you, Ronnie. What was you going to say?
I just put 2 and 2 together because Marco did some comment about there won't be any groupies. But maybe the guy at Dalhalla was rubbing his butt towards your stomach was trying to say you something.
Yeah, maybe he heard that you wanted some groupies, Bernd.
No.
There.
Let's
now when you're such a famous guy.
Yeah.
Pod star.
Yeah, no. The thing was, let me take this from the horse's mouth. Okay, groupies was something that existed in the 70s, and it was very young girls that I still don't understand why they wanted
for the KISS Army.
No,
I don't think so.
But the thing was that these
Slot Army.
Naughty. The thing is that this doesn't exist anymore, at least not to my knowledge. But I've always been fascinated by why are you a groupie? What is it that makes this happen?
Well, people spend a lot of money one-on-one with a band. If you could save that money and spend an hour with Paul Stanley alone, hell.
I mean, you can always buy Kiss. You can always pay for meeting Kiss. But no, so be as serious as possible. I think I'm happy that they don't exist in that way as in the 70s. But still, I want to know why. So I had a standing question in our podcast. If somebody could come from the 70s and tell what
A
made
groupie.
you do that. Yeah, what made you do that? But everybody is kidding about this and thinks that I would like to have groupies. No, I don't want to have groupies. No way, Jose, I say.
Sure. Okay, that's a little bit on groupies. Let's see if Bent ever managed to get an interview with one of the groupies from the 70s and 80s. You'll never know. But Bent, you're actually during the summer here. You're going towards a new theme. Can you tell us about the new theme for the summer? Because we're not going to hear Bent for a month or two.
Oh, yes, you will, but in another way.
Okay.
Back to the podcast. The thing is that I believe in something called. Let me see if I can translate that anything good. In Swedish, it will be om du sätter den fri och den vill komma tillbaka så kommer den tillbaka. Try that, Daniel. Try to translate that because it's like, what the fuck? What we will do is, since all of you guys are complaining that we're making too much podcasts, we will not make any podcasts in August. Not a single one. Instead, we have asked other people do that for us. And the subject is Kiss, but they are being made of 3 different duos. And I won't tell who they are. You have to listen to the podcast because we told the listeners that. But I think it's a wonderful idea because usually when you do podcasts or vlogs or whatever it's called, you want to be there all the time. You want to have the control yourself. But now we are letting go. But we are back in September.
Okay. That's some information about the Let Me Know podcast. And as an outro, I think maybe we should teach the Americans some Swedish so they can read the Kiss Destroyer magazine and they can listen to the Let Me Know podcast. But before we do that, let's see a live take from Dalhalla. Okay, you know Paul Stanley? There he is.
That's the balloon.
Yeah, I caught one, of course.
May I add one thing before?
Yeah.
Because I forgot one very important thing when it comes to the Let Me Know podcast. And that is, we don't do any episodes in English, but it will be one. And you, Daniel, will do that together with one of your friends from the KissFAQ pod. And you're going to talk about chewing gums. Riff raff. Yeah. We'll announce that when it's time to do that. So me and one of the guys from the KissFAQ podcast actually were invited to do an episode on the Let Me Know podcast, and it will be in Swinglish or English, whatever you say. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see how much Marco cut it up. If there's anything left of it, we'll see. But I think it was a fun episode, and we'll see later on. But now, as a final thing today, let's at Dalhalla, Paul actually introduced a new phrase. He's always gone with 2 phrases. The first one is "Jag gillar din rumpa," I like your ass, and the other one is "Du är söt," you're cute. But this time he added one more thing. Do you remember what it was? It was during the second night.
Yeah,
before cold gin. You know what's gonna do it for you? And then he mentioned a Swedish liquor called glögg that people drink around Christmas. So that was kind of fun. So he actually knows 3 things in Swedish now. But you guys, what do you think the Americans who are watching the show need to know in Swedish? A sentence or a word? I'll start. I think this one is pretty good to know. You know, I am in English. In Swedish, it's pretty easy to remember I am, because it's like the surname of the singer of Rolling Stones. You know, Mick Jagger. Jagger. Or if you're into hockey, you know, one of the best players of all time. He played for the Czech Republic and he played for Pittsburgh and a few other teams. He was called Jaromir Jagr. So Jagr. So there you have 2 things that you can think about: Mick Jagger or Jaromir Jagr. To remember I am in Swedish, I'm sure you will. So jag är, that's I am in Swedish, and then you can add anything, you know, cute, nice, and stuff like that. So Jagr. What about you, Bent?
I'm speechless. And by the way, I was the one in the last podcast we had that we were invited to. I was the guy that said all the strong words in Swedish. So maybe I shouldn't say samlag. Maybe I shouldn't say kuk. Maybe I shouldn't say
You just did.
No.
We can ask the ones who's making comments if there's something you want to learn, and see if someone asks for something special.
Yeah,
but
Jens just commented here. He said glögg back in '96 in the Gothenburg concert, I remember. So it actually brought back some memories because that was my first Kiss show. So I was really happy when he talked about glögg on the last show in Dalhalla. So
but
really,
back then
really
it was around Christmas. It was
around
Christmas.
It was in December. Then, yeah. So it suited very good.
Now it wasn't.
No,
I think it was fun.
Now we don't want to drink glögg.
No, we just drink it at Christmas.
But still, I wanted to say that we have a Swedish teacher amongst us, and we have a music teacher amongst us. Don't we? Yeah. Who is the Swedish teacher?
I'm a Swedish teacher, and I'm a music teacher as well.
Yeah.
And an art teacher, and an English teacher. I studied a lot.
How about some good phrases, Roney?
I'm neither of those. I'm neither of those teacher of those subjects. I'm a math teacher.
A
science teacher.
Wow.
So you're misinformed.
I have been wrong all these years. I'm so sorry, Roney.
It's pretty easy to think that I mean, when you read Ronnie's writing, you're off the bat you think he's a Swedish teacher, because most math teachers can't spell or write for shit. So
no,
he's actually a multi-talented math teacher.
Yeah, that's good.
But Ronnie,
some Swedish phrases.
Some Swedish phrases.
What
do they need to know to read your magazine? Do you have anything that's maybe that's too hard?
That's too hard.
Yeah.
But if they ever come up to Sweden and they want to order beer, that's maybe something good to say. So if you want to say, I would like a beer, it's just, jag skulle vilja ha en öl. Jag skulle vilja ha en öl.
That was very, very, you can just say, jag vill ha öl. That's easy.
Yeah, that's not even, that won't beer.
Not very polite, but
no.
Yeah. Thank you, Ronnie. And Patrick?
Most people maybe know skål, which is like cheers. But if you order a beer, maybe you want to learn how to say cheers, and then you say skål.
Skål. Yeah, that's good. So that's about it, guys. So thank you all for accepting my invitation. Hopefully
Daniel.
we can do this again. Bent?
Yeah.
Bent never wants to quit a podcast. He wants to go on forever. Okay, Bent.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, do you think that this was lagom?
This was pretty lagom. Yeah, I think so.
That's one of. Thank you, by the way, to Marco, because he dropped that word, lagom.
Yeah,
that's about
a very Swedish
right.
word. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all you guys were great, and hopefully we can do this maybe next year, another time. And thank you to the listeners for the comments. And we always appreciate you being a part of the KissFAQ podcast. Chime in with your thoughts in the comments as well after you've seen the show. You don't have to watch it live. You can watch it later on and then add comments, and we'll make sure to bring up your comments in the next episode. So we'd like to see your thoughts on the European tour maybe, and are you attending any of the final shows in North America? And if you were at Dalhalla in Sweden, make sure to post your impressions as well. So until next time, from Bent, Roney, Patrick, and myself, see ya.
Hej då.
Julian is doing the same thing.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.